Good afternoon. My name is Joseph LaRochelle. This is video for lesson plan 6 of the Workforce Ed 106, Penn State. Today we're going to do a demonstration on personal protective equipment, how to inspect it for proper use, how to install it on your body, and then we've got 3 power tools. There are many power tools out there on the work site. We're only going to look at 3 of them, but generally the inspection are very similar. We're going to inspect the power tools, make sure they look operationally safe, and then I'll explain how to use them properly. Let's start with the personal protective equipment. The hard hat, the most common item out on the job site, is pretty simple to wear and protects your head from all types of cuts, hits, and abrasions. The way to inspect it is look at it, make sure you don't have any cracks or damages on the hard hat itself. Then look inside, make sure the straps are connected correctly, they're not damaged, cracked, or broken. And of course, to don the hard hat, you merely put it on, you adjust this back here, make an adjustment to fit your head, and the hard hat is installed properly. Next one is safety glasses. This is no different than a pair of safety glasses or regular glasses. The only thing is, like those, you want to make sure that they're clean so you can see through them, and then put them on like any other pair of glasses. These are just one type of earplug. These are foam earplugs. We take these and we pull the ear back, insert them, and come over to the other ear, insert the other foam, release, and those foams will stay in the ear canal, and that'll soften the noise of the job site and the tools you're using. OSHA mandates that 85 decibels or higher, we need to have some sort of ear protection as a yardstick to measure what you think 85 decibels would be. Your gas-powered lawnmower that you use at home runs about 95 decibels. So that being said, you can see on a job site that every job site would require ear protection, and much noisier than the lawnmower. We got 3 tools here: Sawzall, rotor hammer, and surprisingly maybe is your light, extension cord light. People may not think of this as an electrical power tool, but in fact it is. It has electricity running through it, and it's close to the same electrical hazard as either one of these tools here. What we want to do before using any of these tools is go through a safety inspection. Look at the tool. In this case, we look, make sure the bulb is not cracked or broken, it's inserted snugly. Make sure the switch works back and forth, on and off. Then inspect the cord, pull the cord all out, look through it all, make sure no abrasions, cuts, and then finally down here at the prong end, make sure the prongs are straight, not bent or broken. Deemed safe to use, then we would go ahead and plug it in and bring it with us to whatever the job site was. This has a hook, which makes it easier to make sure that we don't break the bulb as we're using it. You can hook it on something nearby and spin it around until you get it in the right direction for the light that you need. Is there any questions about the light, how to use it?
No, thank you.
Okay, let's move on to the rotor hammer. The rotor hammer is actually considered one of the noisiest power tools out on the job site. Runs at about 125 decibels, and the reason is it's got this bit that spins and hammers at the same time to drill into concrete. So it puts out a very high-pitched whining noise and can be very damaging to your hearing. So like every other tool, the basic inspection is we pull the trigger, make sure it's operational. In this case, we have a forward and reverse switch. Move it back and forth, make sure it works properly. We have a control handle that can be adjusted. You can spin it in any direction you want so that you can get a hold of it. And then we also have a depth gauge here. We can adjust the depth of this so that it'll keep this bit from going in too deep. So you make sure those are all operational. All that seems good and functional. The prongs all look good. So this tool would be deemed operational. In order to use it, you merely take the bit, spin it, and push it in. It locks. You take the bit out, you push back on the chuck, and it pulls out. So you would spin this in, lock it. Say you only want a 2-inch hole, then you would move this gauge up here. It's only 2 inches of the bit is exposed. And And once that's done, then you tighten this up to lock that gauge in. So now as you drill, it's going to hit and stop at that exact depth. Now to use the tool, you plug it in, of course, and before you start to drill, you should pull the trigger while it's under power. Make sure it goes on and off correctly. Use the reverse forward switch, pull the trigger, make sure it's spinning correctly. Then you would place the tool on the point of contact that you're trying to drill, and you don't want to push real hard. You want to first of all adjust this so you have it comfortable, in a position comfortable for you as you're using it. And then, like I said, don't push, just lay the weight of the hammer on there, pull the trigger, and it'll start drilling, and it'll start beating its way through the concrete. Now the one danger of the rotohammer is the fact that this bit, as it drills through the concrete into areas we cannot see, it may come in contact with a rock or a piece of rebar, which will then jam it up. And that is the point of this handle right here. If it jams up, we got a hold of this, we can stop it from moving and spinning around, hurting our hand or breaking the cord. We stop it, let go of the trigger, and it'll just come to a stop. And then we can remove it. If it can't remove it, we put it on reverse, get the trigger, and it'll back its way right out. Once that tool is done being used, bring everything back to the neutral, bring this gauge back to a neutral setting, bring this handle back to a flat area, and then pull the chuck back, pull the bit out, and that tool is done. Do we have any questions about how to use that, or a safety inspection, or other items on that? Okay, let's move on to the sawzall. As the rotohammer is considered one of the most noisy tools, the sawzall is actually considered one of the most dangerous. The reason being, we have a fully exposed blade out here on the front all the time. This blade goes in and out to cut through whatever material you're trying to cut, and there is no guard like on a skill saw. There's no guard to cover it. There's no safety like on a chainsaw where you'd have a safety brake on the handle. This is fully operational. As long as you're pulling the trigger, this is going to be going in and out. It's going to cut whatever it comes in contact with. So same thing with this one. First thing you want to do is inspect it. Looks like the shield is in good shape. The case is there's no broken cracks on the case. Pull the trigger, it feels like it's operating correctly. I look at the foot, make sure these are not broken or cracked. That all looks like it's working correctly. And then once again we start inspecting the cord. Look at the cord, no breaks, abrasions, cuts all the way through there. Looks good. This looks like it may be an operational tool. We get down to the prongs though, we notice that there's actually a main prong missing. This third prong, although it will operate with only these two prongs, this third prong is the central ground, which is a safety ground to keep you from getting electrocuted in the event of a circuit break. So if any one of those is missing, that tool becomes non-operational. This needs to be turned into whatever service department your employer or service presentation they have, where you would deliver it to, red tag it, or deliver it to the boss, or however their procedures are for damaged tools. That is basically the whole lesson. We've covered the personal protective equipment. We've covered 3 items. We've got to know that there's multiple power tools out there. There's not enough time in a day to go through every power tool you may come in contact with. These are 3 of the main tools. They're electrically driven. There's other tools that are driven by pneumatic, which is air. Other tools that are driven by hydraulic lines, steam lines. There's a lot of different types of tools out there in the industry. You need to become familiar with them before you use them. And if you have not used them, you should be talking to your boss and let them know, I'm not familiar with that tool. I need some sort of explanation, some sort of presentation to know how to use that tool properly. How to turn it on, how to turn it off, what to do in the event of emergency, what it looks like to be a safely operational tool if there's parts missing, broken, or damaged. So along those same lines, one of the most important things is communication. and listening. We need to communicate, we need to listen, and we need to ask questions. Don't pretend like you know how to use something if you don't know how to use it. Talk to your boss, let them know that I'm sure they'd be more than happy to get someone to show you how to use that, because they don't want you to get hurt or the tool to get broken because of improper use. So tell your boss, communicate. I don't know how to use that tool. The boss will then have somebody show you how to use that tool and use it properly to make sure it's in proper working condition and put away safely. Putting tools away in the correct manner can extend the life of a tool. If they're all thrown down in the bottom of a gang box, they're going to be more likely to get damaged with time. It's very important to pay attention to detail. Little details, like on this cord, there might be just a very small abrasion, but you look at it like this and you find out there's an exposed cord in there. So it's important to pay attention to detail, communicate, ask questions, and work safely and properly. Don't be in such a hurry that you're going to hurt yourself or somebody else. Slow down, do it safely, follow the OSHA guidelines. OSHA sets out the minimum safety standards, so oftentimes you'll hear people complain about, oh, the OSHA way is too long. Well, remember, that's the minimum safety standard. They've designed it to the very minimum amount of effort you have to put to work safely with that tool or in that situation. If there's any questions about the PPE or the power tools, then we will wrap it up for today. Thank you very much, and work safe, stay safe. Think safety. Safety first.